it's hard to make decisions sometimes by yourself.
It's just being fully aware and intentional about how you want to interact with money.
Put your money to work for you, but do so in a manner that allows you to also live life.
I know what I'm capable of, and I just need to start pushing towards that. That is the new trajectory in which you will be presented.
You can have a scarcity mindset and still be financially stable. You can also have an abundance mindset and still need to be aware of how much you spend on any given day.
Celebrate those financial wins. It's big.
And spend consciously this holiday season.
Yeah. And welcome to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hi, y'all. I'm Karista, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the new subscribers. We're watching the growth. We appreciate the growth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our gratitude and our hearts are very full, and we're very excited that you are joining us and listening and hoping you get some value out of the content that we've been creating in this podcast and YouTube channel. If you are not already on our YouTube channel and you're listening to us on any of the audio only platforms, please do us a super huge favor. It's completely free to do. Jump on over to Love Always Self on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. It helps that little algorithm shoot up a little bit more for us and get our messages spread. So,
yes, thank you and welcome. Hi, yes, I'm doing good. Getting prepared for the holidays and all of that. You know, I guess it started a couple weeks ago with Thanksgiving, or last week with Thanksgiving. And so we are, I guess, in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Doing all the shopping and preparing for Christmas and Hanukkah and other holidays that happen around this time frame. Also, our December birthday babies.
Oh my gosh, I know. My son,
my husband, my mom.
Yep.
He's busy.
Godson. Yeah. It's very busy, and I'm gonna say this outright. I am so sorry if I sound a little bit different, especially with this being a podcast and it's very audio based. I fought the flu for I have a good 10 days, and so I'm still getting over the remnants of the symptoms like congestion and losing my voice every 5 seconds. So,
which is also why we are virtual today.
Yeah.
Wanted to give Shyra plenty of time and space to work through her junk.
some distance and the physical aspects. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask how you're doing, but I'm glad you're on the upswing though.
Thank you, love. I am on the upswing. So it goes in waves though. I'm not gonna lie. This one's been a bit of a doozy. I remember I got the flu coming back from Spain, and that one was brutal, but it was over and done with in 6 to 7 days max. This guy just wants to hang out for a little while longer. So
yeah, it's been almost 10 days.
Yeah, it's been a little brutal. But so if I sound a little bit more like a mouth breather today, then I apologize again. So
it's because she is.
Because I freaking am. And this appearance cleaned up quite nicely for you guys today, because it was not like this about 45 minutes ago.
Just don't laugh too much or else you're going to end up in a coughing fit.
It's true. We tried that already.
Lots of water today.
Well, Carrie touched on this just a second ago, and I think it goes really hand in hand into our conversation today. We are in the midst of the holidays, and because we're in the midst of the holidays, we like to do a lot of things like giving to others, and with that comes some stress. I know that brings about stress to a lot of individuals, but also excitement in the gift giving category. And so we actually want to chat with you guys about financial consciousness today. I would like to preface it with, and I don't think I've shared what I do for a living, but my career happens to be in the financial realm. And I do a lot of budget management and things like that. I give a lot of advice to friends and family because of that. And I've been quite successful in this category. So Take that with a grain of salt. Also, do your own research, no matter what
Mhm.
topics we do today. I always recommend that. So awesome.
Absolutely. With this being the holidays, this tends to be one of the times where there's a lot more financial strain. And just because, what you said, we like to gift, we like to
Mhm.
give, we like to show our love through these items that we uh, give to other people, our loved ones, our family, our friends. Sometimes we can get in the mindset of, oh, it has to be the best. I have to spend a certain amount of money, or maybe we don't even think about money during that time frame. We're just trying to take care of the list of people that we want to get gifts for. This is something for me that really I value, like financial consciousness, and that's something that Shyra and I really relate on and actually have frequent conversations about. We we both have discussions about how to navigate certain decisions, and so that's been a very helpful thing to have that kind of support because it's hard to make decisions sometimes by yourself. And so it can be helpful when you have somebody that's knowledgeable and aware and has similar values to be able to bounce those ideas off them. And so, first off, I guess, like, what does it mean to be financially conscious?
Well, financial consciousness is just being fully aware and intentional about how you want to interact with money at the end of the day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Understanding your relationships with it, setting good intentional choices is also a big one. Being a little bit more present in your actions towards it,
Yeah.
acknowledging that money it's a tool, right?
Hmm.
At the
Hmm.
end of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's an interesting thing to consider is like when we think of the word relationship, we think of people,
mhm,
how we relate to people, but there's also that relationship with money. And it can be something that empowers you, or it can be something that can be a detriment to your way of life if you're not aware of where it's going. Money has a flow to it, and the more we grasp it and the tighter we hold on to it, the less it grows, right? Like, think about
100%.
the savings accounts and how certain savings account have tiny tiny little dividends at interest rates of like 6 cents per month. Oh goody, gee golly, I can't even, like, this isn't the 1940s where we can buy gumdrops and candy bars with a penny. And so knowing how to not only put your money to work for you, but do so in a manner that allows you to also live life too and enjoy life without feeling tight and pressure and unable
Yeah.
to find joy in life.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I want to share a story right quick. So it's interesting, like the more newer relationships that I have in my life, and newer is like the past couple of years or whatever. They don't know this about me, but because I don't present myself in that way today, but I didn't have a good relationship with money in the beginning. And looking at my situation now, you'd never know that. And I think even when you and I were roommates, I don't think we talked too terribly much about money during that time of our life. And I remember you telling me that you were like, I didn't know that you were even like struggling back then. But I did. I struggled quite a bit. I didn't grow up, with money on trees. I grew up, and no shade to my parents, they worked very, very hard. But I grew up very middle class, and money was always a topic in my household as far as like how are we going to make it to the next one, right? And so I watched that struggle go on in my family dynamic, and I also didn't like work towards not being in that same cycle. I've always been successfully driven, but not towards financial gain, right?
Hmm.
That didn't come about for me until I became a mother figure to somebody else, to be honest with you. And that was something that I was like, wow, I'm shaping the mind of somebody that's really young,
Hmm.
and I know what I'm capable of, and I just need to start pushing towards that. And that's what really like got me going. There were also other changes right before that, with like friends moving out of town, and people that I was with 24/7 weren't around me anymore. And so I reverted to a career and goals in that direction to help with that. And so I just want to say that it's like, that song started from the bottom, now I'm here,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a true story though. Like I wasn't always financially free like I am today. Like it was
Mhm,
something I grew. And with that growth, which happened to be in the career trajectory that I was in, I learned so much in that career growth. And just from like individuals sharing their own experiences, that you don't have to be where you were, and that's something that can change. That's a lot of it was self-taught, but a lot of it was because of my career. And
mhm,
so I learned a lot of really good tools and I learned a lot of really hard lessons.
mhm,
Living paycheck to paycheck, going into overdraft fees, like taking loans from friends, which was something I never wanted to do again because I was so ashamed of it.
mm,
But that's the relationship I used to have
yeah,
versus the I will always figure it out. I will always find a way. I will always grow, and I will always, be able to be more successful than I've ever dreamed of. And that's the new mindset that I've been in over the last, like, I don't know, 5+ years. And that mindset has changed my trajectory in what I do. I'm not saying that doesn't come with stress, because man, my career is very stressful. It pays well, but it's stressful. And so um, I've had to make quite a few sacrifices. However, the mindset that you can be in, and this is a mindset of scarcity versus abundance, right? And that's where I'm going with this story that I'm
mhm,
telling,
mhm,
because quite frankly, your beliefs and how you look at, money and how you can make financial decisions has a lot to do with your mindset. And it also has a lot to do with historically what you've seen work and what you've seen not work, and how you feel towards it and how you feel about the exchange of the receiving of it.
mhm.
It's got energy to it, just like anything else. And I think a lot of people forget that. And if you are constantly like, ew, money, or like, I don't think I'll ever get that. I'll never get that. I'll never make enough. And you keep repeating that over and over and over to yourself, then that is the new trajectory in which you will be presented,
Right, because
you
that's your
know,
belief, and
because that's your belief.
the things that you do continue to support that belief.
Correct.
Mhm,
Correct. And I'm literally walking, living proof.
mhm, mhm.
Like sometimes I look back on my life, like I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, and I'm just like, shit, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Like that my mindset shift is what changed my trajectory like that.
right,
Yeah.
right. And you can have a scarcity mindset and still be financially, stable. And you can also have an abundance mindset and still need to be aware and limiting of how much you spend on any given day.
Let's
And
touch on
so,
that one.
yeah.
I want to touch on that one because I've also done that. I was used to being without, and then when I started making more money, and a lot of people do this, guess what I did? I started buying a lot of shit I didn't need, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes I looked back and I was like, what am I doing this for? Right? Am I trying to show off? Am I doing this out of self-growth? Does it align with the goals that I have? Or am I doing this, because I'm just like living life to the fullest, and it's helping me in some way? So
Or are
yeah.
you feeding that, chemical response in your brain that says, "Ooh, that feels good."
Yeah, yeah, it can totally do that. I know for me, my own personal, I don't know, unhealthier relationship with money spending is probably towards home decor. I'm just gonna say that right outright. But I have identified it and I know what it is, right?
I've identified it too. Um, yeah,
So funny.
growing up, just to share a little bit about my history. Growing up, my mom has been a bookkeeper for multiple decades since before I was born. And, one of the things that I watched her do was paying things off and making sure that she reached this goal of financial freedom. And what that is being debt free. outside of like utilities and things like that, not having these reoccurrent payments, loans, credit card debts, these kinds of things. Now, most people are a little more flexible when it comes to like a mortgage or house payments because that's such a big loan. But other than that, not having any debt to your name is considered financial freedom. I wanted to clarify that because you can still have lots of debt and feel free to spend, but it doesn't mean that it's actually wise or conscious.
That's very
Um,
true. That's very true. And I think that's probably why I feel so free in my home decor spending is because I don't have any debt besides my mortgage.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Um, so I grew up developing the value and the habit of, other than a car payment, not carrying any debt. And that's always been something that's very important to me. However, with that being said, even though I've never carried on credit card debt or anything, very much, I had some school loans that got paid off, but my relationship with money has been stressful as well because I have this fear based scarcity mindset. Even though I make ends meet and I have a really good, emergency fund, but I still struggle with allowing myself to feel abundant
Mm.
despite being, somewhat secure.
Yeah.
And so that's just something else to be aware of and take stock of how you feel. What is your relationship with money?
Yeah. 100%. I remember there were times where my friends would be like, "Hey, let's go on this trip together," and I was too embarrassed to tell
Mm,
them I can't afford that. It wasn't until I got a little bit older where I was like, "Yo, that's just not financially feasible for me at this time," and I was more comfortable. And that's another thing that I think,
mm,
having that type of thought process and having some type of shame towards money,
yeah, or
uh,
feeling like a failure.
or feeling like a failure. Exactly. I mean, we all are out here like working as hard as we can to do what we can to like take care
Mhm,
of ourselves and our families and live in this feeling of abundance, right?
mhm.
And financial doesn't have to be directly connected to abundance. It can come in multiple ways, but in this
Exactly.
particular conversation,
Mhm,
but it's also really like important that if you want to get somewhere, creating and setting a goal, and I tell this to everybody I assist in their financial goals. If you have a goal, you can achieve it. All of it's achievable. You are never stuck in whatever circumstance that you're in. It might feel that way, but again, that is your perspective and that is the way you're perceiving it. But there's always a way. It was a family motto from a very young age that was distilled in me. There will always be a way. We are creators. That's what we do. And so if I can assist in any way in like helping you break free of this mindset, try that. Try
mhm.
thinking to yourself over and over. And even if you feel like you're telling yourself a lie, it's not a lie, but go ahead, try telling yourself that information. Write it on your mirror in the morning so you see it when you first wake up. Repeat it to yourself every night before you go to bed. Practice these things that'll help change your thought process and your feelings towards this. So yeah, that's a good practical tip.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
So evaluating, what are your values about it?
Yeah.
What is your relationship with it? How does spending make you feel? And not just like spending frivolously or on things that you want, but also things that you need.
Yeah. 100%.
So, another suggestion, um, this is actually slightly modified from a therapy session that my spouse and I had together. I think it's a great practice to help you to determine what's important to you. And if you have a partner or a roommate, somebody that you have a financial balancing act with, do this as a practice with them. So just write down your top 5 financial priorities and then prioritize them in the order that matters the most. And then with that partner, compare and find out which ones are similar so that you know that one another support each other in that you both have similar goals. And then figure out which ones are not the same and just have that discussion. Tell me about, why that's so important to you. I want to understand that. That's going to create a better communicating relationship about money, because that's one of the most awkward, conversations to practice getting used to with a partner.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Hmm.
We're going to touch on something that's super sensitive right quick. Not everyone is going to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations.
I'm going to go ahead and just like insert that the majority of people are going to be uncomfortable at some point in this process of discussing and planning finances.
I told somebody this once, and I feel like this was really solid advice from me to them. But I said, "Let me ask you a question. Why are you feeling so frustrated in the current circumstance?" Right? And I said, "Is it ego driven? Because I would invite you to remove that aspect of yourself for just this moment and think more analytical for just this moment. Because if your feelings and your thoughts towards what we're doing today is ego driven, your ego can, although protecting sometimes, it can also lead to things like, I'm embarrassed to talk about this, which will translate sometimes to irritation or anger or frustration or lack of even paying attention to it because you don't want to see it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So my advice is always going to be asking yourself that as well, right? Are you going about this, the conversation itself, and are you diving into the conversation from a place of ego or from a more of a place of strategy and analytics, right?
I'll share a personal story. So my husband and I, we've been married for 10 years. I mean, not married, but we've been together for 10 years. And I will be upfront and honest. I still feel very uncomfortable bringing up money. And I I've tried to present now environments that are conducive to having these types of conversations. For example, I've been wanting to rework our budget, and I started letting him know like 4 weeks ago that we're going to have this conversation and we're going to need to like go through things and with a fine-tooth comb. And so it was this idea of preparation. So it's not like boo ah, like
There's my thumbnail shot.
yeah. And then, setting expectations. Like, I know it's going to take a little bit and it's going to take some effort. It may take a course of like a couple of days to like get everything ironed out. And I know it's going to take work. However, this is important to me. And voicing that, tell them why, preparing, warning, setting expectations, making it known. And then one thing that I missed on doing is actually saying, okay, I want to start going through this information. What time and date works best for you?
Mhm.
That's an area that I could improve on this last go around.
And my
I'm
biggest
learning, I'm
advice for
growing.
that is to not drop your personal desires towards it either. So it is a meeting
Hmm.
you halfway situation, especially when it's a spousal's conversation, because one might have a different timeline in their head than the other, and
Hmm.
one might prioritize something like that more than the other. And so it's a meeting halfway,
Absolutely.
and that helps with the partnership as well.
It's
Um,
recognizing that you're a team, that you
mhm.
should, unless you truly want to be like the manager, the financial manager of the home, and don't want anybody else, involved, which I would have a problem
We
with.
salute you.
Yeah. If that's what you want to do, by all means, go right ahead. But, if you want that support, I think it's important to present this information and even acknowledge, like, I understand this is an uncomfortable conversation. Even saying, like, this is uncomfortable for me, but it's also important to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would really appreciate some teamwork on this and your contribution to us figuring this out together. It's so important that you create a plan together, and making sure that you're both on board is important, because one of you can be there and be present to the budget idea making, but be like, well, screw this. I'm not really doing this.
Oh, yeah.
So again, making sure that you're both on board with it.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm gonna see if I can find the link to and yes, I've made my own, but, I'm not selling those or anything like that. Maybe someday, wink, wink. But, um, you know, I'm gonna see if I can find the YouTube channel, and there's this guy that literally he creates these financial spreadsheets that help you do budgeting, and they're ridiculously easy. Now, you could take the easy, quick way and just pay for it. I
Mhm.
think it's like
And
40
there's apps
bucks.
for that.
Mhm. And there's all sorts of free options. There are people that sell these templates, do your research based on what's like what you need, but he
What kind of
also
support you need.
and
Yeah.
what kind of support you need. So if you're not like very large in the acumen of like Excel, creating Excel documents and things like that, although it can be extremely helpful tool in doing your budgeting. People sell them where the formulas are already there. You can just download it and then just plug and play, and it'll create the dashboards for you. It'll show you where you're spending and all this other fun stuff. Or if you are pretty big and want to recreate it, which will be the freer way to do it, so it's going to take you longer, he actually will also walk you through step by step on how to start it from scratch and create the entire thing.
Nice.
So I'll see if I can find that video, and we'll link it down below and give that guy credit, because I know I've purchased his template before and I've tweaked it quite a bit since then, but it's really good. And it's a really good start.
I did find ChatGPT helpful in
That
helping
too.
me figure out formulas
Oh my
for
god,
the
it's like
information that I'm wanting.
ChatGPT is like legit when it comes to formula stuff, especially
Man,
fixing them.
you introduced me to pivot tables, and I am like blown away still by those. So I love it. I nerded out on it.
Every time you tell me that, I'm like, I literally create like dozens, if not hundreds, of pivot tables per day. That is wild to me in my job.
Never known that was there, but it's made it so easy. Just highlight, add
So
pivot table,
funny.
done.
Oh my gosh, it makes me laugh. Sometimes I'll do like really simple Excel spreadsheets and people are like, whoa, that was genius. And I'm like, what? Oh, no, it's not.
But man, when somebody doesn't know how to do a spreadsheet, like it's
Yeah.
painful. Like it's hard and it's frustrating and it takes so much time and you're more likely to give up,
Oh, dude,
if
I
you
had
don't
people.
have the support.
Anyway, sorry guys. Let me bring this back for just a second, because I could go on about that particular topic
Yeah.
and nerd out a bit. But there is, the role, right? The role of budgeting, and who wants to take the lead in that, because somebody's got to drive. Just, not everybody can be the driver, and that might cause conflict in your household too, if like you're both trying to be the drivers. But
Or if neither one of you wants to drive,
or if neither one of you wants to drive,
it's
think
called
about that.
avoidance.
But being intentional about your budgets, that's a really really big one. And I think that really does align with like what goals you have. Whether it's you by yourself or you in a relationship or your household. There were goals that I had with Nick. I wanted to make sure that I could afford to buy another car so he could have my old one, or pay monthly towards having the old one, as part of his financial savings process. But and I had to set a goal to do that, right? I had to save up to do that. I needed a new, computer to keep up with the speed of creating this podcast and editing it. And I set a goal for that. And I think sometimes in this world, in this day and age of like instant gratification, people think that I'm going to go out and make a quick buck. And I promise you, it's not always like that. Sometimes it is, but it's not always like that. And so some people have to save to reach a goal, right?
Well, and I think that speaks to this, evaluation of having, uh, deciding like, do you want that immediate gratification for something small? Or do you want to save money for the thing that's more important for the long term?
I don't know why I just wanted to say like for a
And
Milky Way bar.
finding balance between the two,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
don't want to be holding yourself back totally, but you want to be doing it consciously. So, one of the things that I think is really important is paying yourself each paycheck. And I say that as in like paying your savings account. Like put a set amount with each paycheck automatically going into your savings account. And you can define where that money is going towards. So, whether that's part of it for your emergency fund, part of it for your travel, part of it for your next new car, and, building those building blocks, on top of each other. And is it really important that you go out to eat tonight, or can you make dinner tonight at home?
It's a fun bill. Your savings account becomes your fun bill. You're
Well, I have like I give myself like a certain amount each paycheck for fun,
yeah.
right? And my savings account's not for like short-term fun, I guess. So then I have like a short-term fun funds. Try saying that. And then you have the long-term fun funds. So
I
separating those two a little bit, because again, you want to be able to still like enjoy your life, but doing so in moderation to where you can still enjoy the long-term goals.
Yep, exactly. And there is no such thing as the the amount in which you're saving, right? I know some people could rebuttal, and I've done it a million times in my past, where I don't have anything left over.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, you will find at least a dollar. And even if you're only able to put a dollar in your squirrel away bucket, like that still will accumulate over time. And the time might take longer to get to whatever long term goal is, depending on
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to do, or what you're trying to save for. But it's still a savings, even
Yeah.
if you only have 50 cents, it's still a savings. And so I just, and depending on where you're placing that money, right? Like some savings accounts that you can go and do your research. Some savings accounts have high interest, giving you that money back. So like
Yeah.
think about those different areas in which you can manipulate your circumstances in order to like actually apply that savings. But it's going to require awareness of your current situation first, right? And it's going to require that, and sitting down with that and sifting through that is going to be the best thing that you could possibly do. Is it fun? Probably not. Some people might find it fun, and those people probably have careers in this. you know? Is it going to bring up some shit? Yeah, it might. But you're
Oh
going to
yeah.
have a lot
I,
of awareness of what's going on in your world, right?
90% of the time I'm going to guarantee that something's going to come up.
Yeah. And you know what comes up the most in all my conversations? Surprise subscriptions.
Mm,
People not even realizing that they had like a subscription of like $4.99 going somewhere, right?
right.
Like that is, you'll be surprised. That I've not met with anyone that has sat down and done a budget with me that wasn't surprised with something. Um, but you'll understand your habits a lot more, and you'll understand where your money's going.
Hmm. Hmm. So becoming aware, understanding your habits, but then also educating yourself as well about the different types of accounts, different types of way to make your money work for you. Uh, I'm going to suggest a resource only because I used it and it really helped me understand all the different ways of saving money and uh, different types of accounts. So I did a course through Dave Ramsey and I found it incredibly helpful. He's had
Good
this course out
stuff.
for like probably 15 plus years. And so, wait, no, how old am I? 20 years at least. Um, and I still have the book from the course. And I find it very interesting and a good resource because I don't remember all the terms all the time because I'm not in finance. And so I find it useful to know like or at least guide me in where else I can place my money that it has the best interest or whatever. And so the more you educate yourself, the more confident you're going to be in creating your long-term plan.
I agree. And move your energy back towards gratitude,
Mhm.
right? Thank you, dollar bills. You know what I'm saying? Thank your
Mhm.
ability to receive it. Thank the future version of you that already has it, right? Return the energy back in the flow in the direction in which you wish to experience. And
Mhm.
if your goal is to just, stay status quo where you at, think that. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful place to be in. And if your goal is like a lot further down the road or seems like it's a lot further down the road, just know that you'll get there, and what's your rush, So anyway, celebrate those financial wins. It's big too,
Mhm.
you know?
And spend consciously this holiday season.
Yeah. Feel no shame in telling people this year you're getting a card.
Or I've got a baby plant for you.
Get creative with those gifts, y'all.
Sometimes just making a little like piece of art is sweet. These things. When did we get
Yeah.
all about like during Christmas that you had like it's all about the gifts, And so reframing this
When
holiday
corporations wanted to
season.
make more money. Oh, did I say that a lot? Don't ban me, YouTube.
She said it. But remembering it's also the precious present,
Yeah.
the now moment, the spending time with people. That's the real, connection that matters most. And so being okay with maybe if you feel like you have to get a gift, do so within your means and be there with them if you can.
Yep. Because there's always a new year, and that person's always going to receive a gift from somebody else, and it might top yours, and who cares?
And
Who
if they're mean
cares?
about it, I don't know. Maybe they don't
And
deserve a gift.
reevaluate that relationship a little bit, like, wow.
You can still send them coal.
I'm totally sending you this TikTok I found. It's freaking hilarious.
I thought you were going to say I'm sending you coal. I was like, damn, jeez. Where did I mess up?
Too good. Oh my gosh. And we wanted to just kind of, before we end today, we wanted to just kind of throw out, Carrie and I are doing something we haven't done in the last several years of us having this podcast. And we're going to take a little recording break for the
We're going to
holiday.
take a little holiday,
Yeah.
little time with friends and family.
But don't you worry. We still have episodes coming even during that time that we're not present. We're going to give you guys a couple of recap episodes where we are picking out some of our favorite content that we think is impactful and will help and gives you a bit more of a condensed version of each of those. So we think that you're going to love that. So enjoy for sure.
Y'all have a wonderful and happy holiday.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas, happy Hanukkah, all the different Kwanzaas and holidays. And, just enjoy the time together. Enjoy your time on earth and have a happy, happy new year as well.
Absolutely. Go ahead and hit that subscribe down below if you haven't already, notification bells to keep you notified of all future content. Find us on all of our social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and here on YouTube Shorts. And we have a website. It
LoveAlwaysSelf.com.
There you go. And you can go in there and find some goodies, including possibly some gifts for if you do feel like spending that kind of money. And yes, we get a kickback.
We have some great gifts on there between like the gratitude journal. We've got some different self-care items that we've utilized and selected just for you guys, the products that we love and enjoy. So go check it out. Again, lovealwaysself.com. And I think it's on the shop.
Yes, it
check
is.
out our Amazon stuff.
There you go.
And y'all have a wonderful rest of the year. And don't forget to love first.
Love last.
And love always.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista.
And I'm Shyra.
And until next time, remember to love first,
love last,
and love always. Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.